Okay. Can I get a motion to reconvene in open session? Moved by Jim, seconded by Doug. All those in favor? That's passed unanimously. Before we begin, we acknowledge that the land in which we gather today is on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous peoples with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest from the board? Seeing none, closed session recommendations, there are none. Consent agenda items, we have 7.1 to 7.6. Does anyone have any items from the consent agenda that they'd like to be, I would ask questions or removed to the regular portion of the agenda? Seeing none, can I get a motion to confirm? Moved by Doug, seconded by Sandy. All those in favor? And that's passed unanimously. Business arising, there is none. Correspondence, police services reports. First one up, and I think this is, we didn't get to this last month. Chief, I think we'll start with you. I think Hassan Siddiqui is joining us for race and identity-based data collection strategy and the 4-year update. Chief, over to you.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair McLean and all members of the board. So you are correct. We have a couple carryover items from last month to fill out today's open agenda. So the first one will be a presentation on some great work, some leading work on our race and identity-based data collection strategy and the 4-year update. So I'll hand it over to Dr. Hassan Siddiqui for our presentation. Over to you, Hassan. Thank you.
All right, we'll confirm that everyone can see the correct screen. A year of no screen share fails is a real Christmas miracle. So let's hope to keep the miracle going. Thank you so much, Chief. Good morning, Chair McLean and members of the board. As always, thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you. I really look forward to providing this update on the race and identity-based data strategy and the work we've done this year. As a reminder, the race and identity-based data collection strategy was developed in January 2022 with the goal of uncovering and addressing systemic racism in police service delivery wherever it may exist. By analyzing data to understand the scope of racial disparities, examining the role of training, education, and other contextual factors, we can work with our community to develop solutions to systemic racism. Race-based data is just one tool that helps us get to that solution. Since the onset of the strategy, we have worked in a variety of ways to educate both members and the community on race-based data collection, the findings, and the goals and the vision for our strategy. We continue to do this, and in doing so, we strive towards maintaining utmost transparency in all things related to race and identity-based data. Using the analytic techniques recommended in the Ontario Data Standards for the Identification and Monitoring of Systemic Racism, we have consistently observed overrepresentation of Black and Middle Eastern individuals in select police interactions. The findings consistently show us that there is a problem that needs to be addressed. However, thus far, the analytic techniques have been limited insofar as we cannot identify what drives the overrepresentation or how to fix it. Moving forward, we will integrate other analytic techniques to better understand the drivers of disparity as they relate to WRPS data. Throughout the last year, we have continued to provide leadership on work related to race and identity-based data at both the provincial and national levels. WRPS currently serves as one of the co-leads of the OACP's Race and Identity-Based Data Strategy Working Group, where we are working to develop a center of excellence and an Indigenous data strategy. Additionally, WRPS sat on the CACP's Police Reported Indigenous and Racialized Identity Data Special Purpose Committee, which is a long enough name that I'm glad that I will not have to continue to say now that it's completed. The committee worked on developing a strategy for expanded race and identity-based data collection, and earlier this year released guiding documents on race-based data collection that our members contributed to. As we look towards the next year of the race and identity-based data collection strategy, we want to shift from simply assessing overrepresentation to assessing impact. In doing so, we aim to move beyond just reporting and into a critical review of the selected interactions that lead to positive and meaningful change wherever possible. This will involve developing evaluative programs that will be effective in addressing the stable pattern of overrepresentation we see in our select interactions. We anticipate that this will adopt a multifaceted approach involving both procedural and process change, accompanied by preventative work aimed at reducing the risk of racialized individuals from becoming involved in police interactions. Communication with our community and our WRPS members will remain a cornerstone for this work. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Well, thank you for this, and we apologize we didn't get to this last month, but it's important information. I appreciate you coming today. Any questions from the board? Looking online. If not, I guess one of the things that after 4 years, maybe talk about what the next. So when we look at this on a regular basis, but what do we take from the 4 years? In terms of drawing some conclusions and how will it drive the work? I mean, we talked a little bit about that, but bring that into clarity of what's the next window of time and how it will inform this first 4 years, how it will inform what we're doing moving forward.
Yeah, I think we've really benefited from being able to report on this data consistently because we now sit on sort of a wealth of data. So instead of just looking at it like quarter by quarter, we can now look at all 4 years of data in summation. And in doing so, that's going to be what allows us to move into this next step, which is looking at a more sort of a priori, sort of like research-driven, evidence-driven evaluative process. So looking at what changes can we make to policy and procedure and seeing if it actually makes an impact on the numbers. The good thing is because we've been collecting this data for so long, there's no need to delay on this. We can shift to this like as soon as we look into analyzing 2026's data. So the goal is to be moving into this next step within the next year.
And I see that the chief's got his hand up, but this also gets used in our budget formulation and the operations, how we do, like there's a whole range of how this is used from a practical perspective by the service. And I appreciate that. Chief, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Hassan, all the team, that's working on this. I think as we continue to see trends sustained at a national level, a provincial level, and then locally, there's larger and deeper conversations we need to continue to have. This isn't just about police outcomes and police interactions. This is about broader societal impacts and trends. And when we look at something like the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, we know that there's systemic outcomes across all sectors and all walks of life. So it's important that we keep this at the forefront. But we also want to link this work to our partnerships and everything we can do to improve the social conditions for everyone that we're serving across all institutions and sectors. So grateful for the work. It gives us a bit of a roadmap for what's in front of us, but we know this goes well beyond policing as a whole.
Okay, thank you for that. Next item is 11.2 Overtime Committee Report, and I think I'm seeing the chief nod and smile. I think we're going to the chief to introduce this.
We are. So Dr. John Fast was on for about a minute or a second, actually, last board meeting, and we moved him along. So he's back, and want to introduce the work of the Overtime Working Group. It's a committee that's been in place for over a year. And we've been really making concerted efforts to look at overtime, not just from a fiscal standpoint, but it's really about officer wellness, member wellness as a whole for the entire organization. And so a cross-functional group of members and leaders from across the service has been working on a trend analysis and then putting data into action. And we've got some great results to share that will also carry forward into all that we do into 2026 and beyond. So over to you, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Can everyone see the slides? Okay.
John, if you're able to flip your display settings, we're seeing the notes version.
Is it better now?
We still see the side slide of notes. I don't know if you can hit.
Presentation only.
If you can swap the display view,
Okay,
that
did
should
that do it?
solve it. That does it perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So thank you, Chair McLean and members of the board for the opportunity to provide an update on behalf of the Overtime Committee. This committee is a centralized spot to study policies, procedures, and practices related to overtime with the goal of controlling overtime costs. We're happy to report that overtime hours are down 21% or 25,631 hours as at the end of August compared to last year. In this presentation, I will provide a brief overview of some of our initiatives. Our patrol operations are the largest contributor to overtime costs, so reviewing patrol staffing was a top priority. To assess staffing, our first step was to map out the workload of our patrol officers in a typical week. The chart on this slide shows the average number of calls created at each hour of the day for each day of the week. You will notice that these lines are not all the same. Some shifts tend to be lighter and some shifts tend to be busier. We then compared this to when officers were working overtime. Keeping in mind that an officer taking an overtime shift on patrol is voluntary, we found a mismatch between when officers were taking overtime shifts and the workload of those shifts. In other words, we were good at filling overtime spots on lighter shifts and bad at filling them on busier shifts. This is the opposite to what we would want. We changed our overtime practices to correct for this by reducing opportunities for overtime on lighter shifts and increasing them for busier shifts. This chart illustrates how this change has impacted the composition of patrol staff shortage overtime and comes from a sample of the same 2 months in each year. The proportion of hours going to lighter shift, the red part of the bars, has shrunk dramatically year over year from 13% of hours to 3% of hours. While the proportion of hours going to busier shifts, the blue part of the bars, has increased year over year from 15% of hours to 30% of hours. By better aligning resources and demand, this change ensures that overtime is being used in the most operationally beneficial ways to improve response times, public safety, and officer safety. We also investigated missed lunches, which are our most controllable source of overtime. We analyzed the where, when, and why of missed lunches to first understand them. We then provided guidance on missing lunch and had targeted conversations with leaders to change practices. This chart shows our missed lunch hours from January to August of each year for our big 3 contributors to overtime: patrol, investigative services, and communications. Overall, the hours are down 34%, and broken down by area, they are down approximately 25% for patrol, 50% for investigative services, and 75% for communications. The work of the Overtime Committee will continue to ensure overtime cost control. For our patrol operations, we are continuing with the existing staffing adjustments that align overtime with workload, and we are relying on ORH to provide a long-term staffing plan that reduces overtime. For missed lunches, we've improved our data infrastructure significantly for monitoring, and our leaders continue to communicate the importance of taking lunches. Moving forward, we will review overtime in other areas of the service, including investigative services and communications. This concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Now this has been ongoing and an issue relates to our staffing, etc. And appreciate the work that's been done on this. Any questions or comments from the board? Sorry, Sandy.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry?
No, just gonna, I think it's good news, that's all I want to say.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Sandy.
Thanks. Yeah, it's very good news. Thanks for the presentation. I just want to make sure I've got the right number here. You said over 25,000 hours of overtime. It has reduced over 25,000 hours.
Yes, that's correct. That's as at the end of August.
And do we have can we quantify that in an approximate dollar value? Or maybe we don't want to.
Sure. I don't know if John has those parameters, but we'd be happy to provide whatever calculations we can for the board. And just wanted to reinforce a number of things. I know that the board has supported us in investment in adding resources, and we've spoken before about the cumulative effect of finding people, hiring them, onboarding them, and then graduating into full-time capacity. So we're seeing some of the effects of that over the past couple of years start to play through. This has also been an exercise on management and leadership, reinforcing people need their breaks. So a lot of our members are working 12-hour shifts, and to sustain operations through many complex and dynamic undertakings every day, we recognize that our members could stay out there every day attending to priority 1, 2, 3, and 4 calls. So this has really been reinforcing a logical approach to how we manage our people, trying to keep them happy, healthy, and safe, and really then looking at the data to inform the logistics on our numbers and how we have peak moments of deployment throughout the week and every day, and really trying to use the data to drive efficiency. So it's a number of things happening all at the same time, and we're committed to reinforcing that moving forward. So I see our Director of Finance, Kirsten, has joined us, and she may have some news to share.
Yes, so the reduction of 25,000 overtime hours would equate to approximately $2.4 million of savings.
Okay, Sandy.
Thank you for that, and just want to affirm the service for the work they've done on this, and also for ensuring that staff are taking the time they also need for breaks and so on. You guys have a very difficult jobs and intense jobs, and so that's all an important part of the management. So thank you.
Okay, Doug, thank you for your comment. Other questions? Don't see any other. Okay, thank you very much for that update. Very important. Okay, Chief, we're on to 11.3, the 2026 operating and capital budget estimates. Are we going directly to Kirsten, or are you going to introduce this? Over to you.
Thanks, Chair McLean. I'll just take a moment to get set up here.
Well, I thought he was frozen there for a second. He's not frozen. He's trying to find a report.
Not frozen. No, I just had an untimely update, but I'm working through it. Just give me 1 second here.
Did you want me to share? I have it up, Chief, if you want me to share my screen.
I'm good to go. 1 second here.
There you go.
Okay.
It's impressive that you did your own IT.
Well supported. There's been some curious timing of things, so I think we're in good shape. So thanks very much to the board. This is the third presentation of our approved operating and capital estimates. I would affirm to anyone joining us for today's presentation, live or after the fact, there's a series of reports that have come to the board in the previous months leading up to today's third presentation on the budget. So I welcome anyone to digest those resources and conversations we've had leading to today. Today's presentation will be short. It's just to provide that final update. And so the approved 2026 operating and capital budget was presented to Regional Council on November 26th. In a long engagement with members of council, we provided a presentation and also a long Q&A session that was both informative and helpful, I think, for everyone to participate. The update for today, and Kirsten can speak to some of the logistics if you have questions, is there has been an update to the overall assessment growth figure for the region and for ourselves, which has increased significantly to 1.5%, and that's up from 1.15. So as a result, the 2026 operating budget estimate tax impact has been lowered to 6.38, down from 6.75. And so the calculation for the WRPS portion of the property tax bill equates to an increase of $54 from 2025 for the average household. And so looking at some of the largest drivers, not all of the drivers, but really staffing comprises over 90% of every year's operating budget. When we look at the approved sworn expansions, we want to reinforce the members that will be hopefully joining us in the months to come in 2026. So it's an expansion of 20 positions across frontline patrol, investigative services, and in operational support. There's also an approved road safety team of 6 officers and also 2 officers in court security. So the total increase will be a total net new of 26 officer positions in 2026. There are some adjustments for a sworn position that was ceased through a secondment and one through civilianization. The other the other civilian expansions for 2026 include the commensurate civilian support component, so an expansion of 11 civilian professional positions, including 2 cadets to show you the total of 13 positions, 5 special counsel positions through our court services allocations. We have some additions to our communications center. We've informed the board about a cost recovery arrangement with the 3 large municipalities in North Dumfries Township to provide us a dedicated bylaw call taking and dispatch capacity that will come online about the midpoint of 2026. And there's some other staffing adjustments through our partnerships. There's an active staffing model that we can speak to that allows us to add some additional positions through our ESCO partnership, and then our partnerships through voice radio and also a civilianized position for training and education. So in total, there's 29 net new civilian professional positions, but as I said, some of those are allocations through partnership and cost recovery. There are 7.5 new civilian full-time members through cost recovery in this budget. So as I turn things over to Kirsten Hand, I will have some commentary at the end about the totality of this year's process. So over to you, Kirsten. Thank you.
Thank you. So these figures have not changed from the previous month. The board approved a 2026 operating estimate of $272.6 million, which is an increase over the prior year of $20 million or 7.98%. As the chief mentioned, that equates to a tax impact on the WRPS portion of the property tax bill of 6.38%. Next slide. Again, these driver slide has not changed from the previous month. The largest budget driver relates to core policing at an increase of 3.8% of that total 7.98% year over year. And that relates to primarily staffing cost changes, such as cost of living adjustments, benefit cost increases, some of those cost recovery model aspects, both of voice radio and our emergency services cooperative unit, and the additional FTEs related to the active staffing model, which is backfilling members off on leave. 1.8% relates to base staffing expansion, so that's 18 officers and the 13 civilians. 1.1% relates to asset renewal, and that is to support our reserve strategy in terms of ensuring that we're putting monies away to fund both our capital program, but as well as ensure that we have appropriate reserves for future liabilities such as sick leave and post-employment benefits. 0.8% is to support the court security recommendations from the ministry, as well as factors in the grant decrease of $600K. 0.5% is for the dedicated road safety team, and the minus 0.1% is regional support activities. So while there still is a net dollar amount of $9 million within our both operating and capital budget to support regional initiatives such as 911, bylaw, emergency management, and support of the community safety and well-being plan. Due to the implementation of the cost recovery structure for bylaw dispatch, that net amount did decrease year over year by minus 0.1%. Next slide, please. From a capital perspective, this also did not change from the November report. So just to summarize, 2026 includes a request of $22.9 million, and the 10-year forecast is 452.5%. And this would include items such as facilities managed capital renewal, so ensuring that our existing buildings are kept at a good level, fleet replacements and or new fleet for growth staffing, information technology projects such as the CCTV project that was also included within the package this month, equipment purchases, and facilities additions and refresh, of which the two major projects are the renovation of the 3rd floor of Central Division, as well as continued work onto the Public Safety Communication Center. Now I'll turn it back over to the Chief. Thank you.
You're on mute, Chief.
Thanks very much. Yeah, thanks very much. I just want to thank the board for the opportunity to engage with you again. Enjoy the opportunity at Regional Council to hear questions and comments about concerns, considerations, and many compliments for the work of our members. So want to express gratitude for the work of our finance team led by Kirsten and many others, and all members service-wide for achieving this important milestone for the 2024-2027 strategic business plan. Always want to take the opportunity to thank the board for their continued support and strong accountability and sound governance. And I believe our community should be proud that this board continues to demonstrate its essential oversight function on behalf of the citizens of Waterloo Region. And just to acknowledge that our leadership team and our membership at large, we acknowledge the precarious conditions of our time, the issues of personal affordability, macroeconomic challenges, and the difficult financial decisions facing everyone across all communities and organizations. I do want to remark that I am deeply disappointed by some remarks made by community representatives who make claims to support our members, our work, and our crucial role in upholding public safety in our community, but who simultaneously fail to recognize or support the need for critical infrastructure required to carry out our work now and into the future. And as we strive to be the most efficient and innovative and the most collaborative police service in Canada, in order to serve the increasingly complex public safety needs of this community and to uphold the standards of adequate and effective police service delivery, we do require support for a variety of capital tools, resources, and facilities, all of which are informed by subject matter expertise and sound fiscal planning in their procurement. So as we head into 2026, our entire membership stands proud, united, and committed to fulfilling our service's mission to uphold public trust, confidence, and safety, and community well-being through police service excellence. So thank you to all involved to this point, and we look forward to further engagements, further dialogue, and certainly a lot of hard work coming before us. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Chief. And I guess it feels like we're always in budget season, but this is the product of 8 or 9 months of work between your staff and I know the board has received multiple briefings and drafts of the budget. We've had public consultations, and we produced the budget estimate for Regional Council. It is a comprehensive document that includes all of the needs of public safety. So whether it's capital, whether it's the operating side, factoring on all the legislative requirements. And it is a complex document because it does address officers, civilians, HR, vehicles, facilities, training, the rural urban needs, traffic, intimate partner violence. Like all of these things are in this document, and they're built on one another. So I do thank you and the staff and the service for helping us through this, because we've had a lot of briefings over many months that have got us to this point. So I think the budget estimate stands on its own, and it's built on a strong foundation of hard data and the requirements that are required for this community, and that includes the capital side as well. So we're thankful for the work that's been done. Any questions or comments, Sandy? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks, Chief, for the update. I'm wondering, we often have the opportunity to talk about some of the complexities and the increasing complexities that the service faces. And I wondered if you wanted to take this opportunity to maybe for the public to expand on what some of those might be. You alluded to it.
Yeah, thank you. I will draw back on an analogy or an explanation we've provided to the board many times, but I think it's always apt. Is about the notion that we serve now multiple neighborhoods, but the two neighborhoods specifically, the on the street, the in-person engagements that we have, but year by year we are layering over complex needs related to cybersecurity, cyber threats, and digital footprints that are now impacting all of our lives. So we have the opportunity to brief the board on some of our very complex investigations, shooting investigations, homicides, robberies, and so on. And the cumulative knowledge that we're building is just the sheer complexity of global pressures facing us locally. And so I think it's always incumbent upon us as leaders, as an organization, to tell the story of our everyday, the complex facets of what goes into our deployments. But there's so much of our work that is really still behind the scenes, and there's the initial response, but then there's the days and sometimes weeks and months that take to resolve our most complex investigations. So being a 24/7 emergency service operation, we're up for those challenges. We feel very well supported by our board and mostly by our community at large, because we listen and we learn and we adapt to a very fluid environment. And so it's very crucial that we continue to work in partnership. There's the police partnerships that we speak of broadly in terms of the pressures of organized crime, of issues of violence and victimization, but the deeper issues we remain committed to. So I'll just reinforce one last point is we have taken, I believe, a strong leadership role every month to feature to this board and the community our commitment to the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. We know that we need to respond and attend to the issues and the pressures of every day, but we're always looking upstream and looking through partnership, what can we change? And just having read this morning that the province is looking to adapt, for one example, the recognition that intimate partner violence and gender-based violence is endemic. It is epidemic in our society and beyond. Through partnership, through evidence, and through best practices, we will continue to make strides in these very complex facets of both policing, but also community health and wellness.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Other questions, comments? Okay, I think we passed and moved the draft estimates last month. This is just refining, and so good news on the assessment growth, which lowers the impact. So thank you for updating us on that. Anything further? If not, Chief, I think we're on to 11.4 Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan Action Table Update, and I think with a focus on some items, intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, and other items. Is this you or who's doing this one?
This is Inspector Aaron Mathias, our Inspector of Community Safety Partnerships. So he'll be providing the report on our services behalf. And I do want to recognize Aaron's role working with many of our members, but also community partners as a co-chair of the Family Violence Project, which is that community collaborative seeking to combat intimate partner and gender-based violence. So appreciate his leadership role working on behalf of many, and we'll turn over to you, Aaron. Thanks very much.
Good morning. Thank you, Chief. I'll just share my screen here. Okay, I trust everyone can see that. Thank you. Good morning, Chief, Chair McLean, and members of the board. Very pleased to join you today to provide a brief update outlining recent service demand in the region and progress made at the Community Safety, Wellbeing, Intimate Partner Violence, Gender-Based Violence, and Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Action Table. I also want to take an opportunity to recognize the timing of this report. And just this past weekend, we observed the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women, commemorating the 14 lives lost at École Polytechnique on December 6, 1989. So we know that community safety well-being plans are a legislative priority under our Community Safety and Policing Act, and our region's plans has experienced very encouraging progress across each of the 4 action tables, data and outcomes, as well as governance. And the service looks forward continuing to support the leadership of our new executive director, Samina Sami, as we move towards a plan refresh in 2026. Pardon me, I skipped a slide. Moving to the issue of the day. In 2023, we know that Regional Council declared intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, and missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls an epidemic, and was also declared an epidemic by many other municipalities within the province. And as the chief mentioned, we have a recently released report from the Standing Committee on Justice Policy on the study of intimate partner violence, naming it endemic within the province. And we see the numbers here are quite striking, and annually hovering between 6,000 and 6,500 calls per year, basically representing 1% increase year over year. And over the past 5 years, we've responded as a service to nearly 30,000 intimate partner violence related calls. We remain above national and provincial averages per capita in victimization. Our region is very fortunate to have dedicated and coordinated partners who make up the Family Violence Project Collaborative, who also work within the Gender-Based Violence Strategy Leadership Table, and provide wraparound supports to victims of IPV and GBV, really from the point of crisis to the point of recovery and resilience. And despite these aligned services, our partners and ourselves continue to operate at capacity each year, and we can see those numbers represented here. In fiscal year 2024, Women's Crisis Services had almost 1,300 individuals access programming that they provide. Similarly, Camino provided counseling to over 1,200 survivors of gender-based violence. And Victim Services of Waterloo Region received over 1,700 referrals who were survivors of intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, or human trafficking. So we know the need in the community is great, and we see the largest group represented there is females 29 to 40 who are accessing crisis shelters. And we see the number of dependents in shelters actually is greater than those seeking it. So progress in addressing this epidemic has been measured but encouraging. The Early Intervention Program, which is a key initiative under the Family Violence Project, continues to demonstrate consistent results. Nearly half of those involved within the Early Intervention Program had no additional intimate partner violence related calls in the 6 months following an intervention. The Family Violence Project has recently launched a new 4-year strategic plan to improve services, elevate survivor voices, and integrate community co-design. And we'll get further into that strategy in a moment. And we have seen the continued promotion of the Not in My City campaign. We look really to expand that community-wide and continue to engage with that organization's leadership team on best practice. 2025 also saw significant investment into both the Family Violence Project and the various partners involved. The Badge of Hope Foundation provided $1.1 million of funding over 4 years, which has been used to hire a new director and navigator for the Family Violence Project. These dedicated leadership positions will streamline service delivery and really bring action into that new strategic plan. Additionally, the Government of Ontario has provided funding which will help to optimize our client care continuum and related programs. And I do want to acknowledge that the receipt of this funding is really a a testament to the ongoing advocacy work by leadership at the region of Waterloo and at various government engagements. And the funding really allows the collaborative to accelerate the priorities in this strategy. The Family Violence Project is proud to promote this new strategic plan, which is reflective of growing community need, the growing diversity of our region, and the importance of including survivor voices in advocacy program design and moving from challenge to change. The investment in the key backbone staffing of a director and navigator has allowed the governance model to mature and also formalize some key pieces about onboarding partners and better integrating services. The strategy expands the mandate of the Family Violence Project and prioritizes partnerships and services to both rural and urban communities. Importantly, survivor feedback and input will be placed at the center of program design and service delivery to ensure that the needs of our community are being met. As with the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan, the police service is committed to working collaboratively with all of our partners across systems to bring this strategic plan to action and continue to evolve the industry leading model of care provided by the Family Violence Project. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for the report, sobering. I guess there's some, at least progress being made, and I think that's good. Karen Quigley-Hobbs.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to recognize the significant progress made with the early intervention and evidence-based policing. Really impressive. Just a couple of questions about the data that's been presented. A number of reports ago, we had service data that was presented based on number of times service was provided per individual. And I'm just wondering if and I believe that was for youth mental health. Just wondering if the same repetition patterns might exist for the call volumes that we see presented here for intimate partner violence. And if we have a year-over-year kind of pattern as well. I mean, these issues don't often resolve quickly.
Happy to field that, Chief, if that's okay. I believe, yeah, you're referring to the Recontact report that was submitted earlier this year. And we can certainly conduct a similar analysis based on this call type. We did examine youth involvement in witnessing intimate partner violence and their rates of recontact, but we can certainly broaden that and report back to the board.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, just curious on the uniqueness of some of the numbers, but thank you for the report, Aaron.
On that slide where it said 78% reduction or less if they've been through the EIP, and it was the 48% that have had no further, is that of the 78%? So half of people just, it resolves the issue entirely. But it also means that 22%, because I think it was 78, 48, it means there's a fifth that presumably that's where we're not seeing any progress. Am I reading that right, or is that just am I taking some pieces of from the report that are on the slide and kind of connecting dots that shouldn't be?
If I may, Chief. I'll refer directly to our report. So in the first quarter of the year, there's a bit of a breakdown here. 137 candidates were identified for early intervention. 126, so 92% were connected with the program. In the 6 months following the program entry, 98 of the 126 had fewer IPV, so that's your 78%. And then 61 of the 126, so 48%. So you're correct in your remarks, Chair. Had no further IPV related calls. So it is a smaller segment, but still very encouraging results.
Yeah, that's great. Jim.
Inspector Mathias, there was a part on there about the Ontario funding. Is that new funding that is coming in, or is that existing funding?
That, I believe, came from a capacity building fund, if I'm not mistaken, and that was net new for the collaborative.
Okay, any other questions from the board? If not, thank you very much for the report. Appreciate being kept up to date, the public as well, on progress on these types of innovative programs. So thank you, Inspector Mathias. I think last but not least is the chief, if he's off mute. We gave you kudos for your technical skills and then you didn't go off mute. So in any event, over to you, chief.
Thanks very much, Chair McLean, members of the board. Very proud to provide the monthly Chief of Police report for the month looking backwards. We have been very busy this month. We've had a cluster of criminal activity and violence, and I'll just highlight some of those investigations that have made headlines. Our board and public would be aware that there was two dramatic shooting incidents, one that occurred on November 16th, where over 50 rounds were discharged in the intersection of Bridgeport Road and Weaver Street North in the city of Waterloo. That investigation is ongoing for all people involved. A couple of days later, we had a home that had a discharge of multiple gunshots occur in the city of Cambridge, and that investigation continues as well. We have video evidence for both of those investigations, but we still require some assistance from the public. We had a homicide investigation occur in between those two shootings on November 17th at approximately 12:50. Officers responded to the area of Highland Road West in the city of Kitchener. And upon arrival, we sadly located a 44-year-old female who was found deceased. And in short order, a 40-year-old Kitchener female was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. And investigators have verified that this was an existing relationship. And that investigation is well on its way through our major crime branch. We also had a very dramatic series of robbery incidents occur that came to a conclusion at the Cambridge Centre Mall, where 5 individuals aged 15 to 22 were arrested through a dynamic arrest that occurred throughout the mall and into the parking lot. 2 live firearms were located during the course of the arrest. And we continue to investigate these circumstances as we believe the individuals are linked to other robbery incidents that occurred throughout the region and potentially beyond. Also had another fatal shooting homicide investigation that occurred on December 1st, where a 32-year-old male from Kitchener was found deceased at the scene near a residence on Century Hill Drive and Country Hill Drive in the city of Kitchener. We continue to investigate this incident as well and are also asking for assistance from the public to supplement our investigative team's ongoing investigation. And just want to signify that one of our many complex cybercrime investigations related to child exploitation came to a conclusion where we became involved in an investigation that started in October, but almost a month later, we have arrested a 41-year-old male from Kitchener charged with a possession of child sexual abuse and exploitation material and making of such. But just to show a trend in the evolution of technology, this investigation revealed the use of artificial intelligence technology to alter images of children known to this accused for a sexual purpose. So this is an evolution that we're seeing across Canada and across the world that's adding new elements to our investigations. So it's changing course, looking at road safety. You can see displayed the number of road safety charges, mostly related to the fatal 4 offenses on our roadways. We are very proud to gather to recognize the kickoff of the RIDE program campaign for this month. But just before that, we saw a rise in impaired driving investigations over the course of one weekend on November 21st to the 23rd, where we saw 14 impaired related calls for service, which resulted in multiple individuals and charges being laid for impaired driving. So very disappointing behavior. But as I mentioned, we gathered, Chair Redmond and many community leaders and emergency services gathered for the kickoff of the Mad Canada National Red Ribbon campaign that will carry through into the new year. And our members will be active in ride campaigns throughout the roadways. And just to give you a sense of one night in November, We gathered in Westmount Road in the city of Waterloo and checked over 750 vehicles. A small number of individuals were found to be charged for alcohol consumption and some open alcohol within the vehicle. And by and large, many of our citizens are making responsible choices through ride sharing and public transportation and beyond, but a small number are still not getting the message. And we as a service and all of our partners across the community remain committed to putting an end to impaired driving. We're very proud to have hosted the year's Serving with Pride Gala, which is an amazing occasion to celebrate this incredible capacity within not only law enforcement and policing, but also across emergency service. So we are very proud to have hosted this event in Cambridge, but also invited the province to join us from many facets. So it was a great celebration on many levels. And in wrapping things up, this month's Stuff a Cruiser campaign is well underway. So the community will see us at a variety of retail locations throughout the region for this upcoming weekend as we partner with the Knights of Columbus for their annual toy drive. And we will continue to have those amazing engagements. The generosity of our community is just unparalleled, whether it's raising for this campaign or food drives and so on. We just continue to be immensely impressed and proud of our community showing up for each other. And you will see us through many community events throughout the region on a variety of celebrations and engagements. And as we head into the new year and the turn of the holiday season, we wish everybody a happy, healthy, and safe occasion as they take time to celebrate, reflect, and share time with those loved ones across the region of Waterloo. So thank you very much. Subject to any questions from the board.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Questions from the board? Comments? I must say, Chief, I was not able to go to Serving with Pride, but I was just next door at the Hamilton Theater seeing Witness for the Prosecution, and it looked like you were having more fun in the Gaslight District at Serving with Pride. No, I'm just kidding. It was a great show at the great theater.
I didn't like the ending, but
but it was certainly a vibrant. You could see it from the street, and it looked like. And I know some of the board were there along with senior command, so that was sorry to miss that one. No further questions, comments from the board. I think that we'll move on then. Thanks, Chief. New business. I don't think there is any future agenda items. I don't see any. Information items. We did provide regional council with a package that came from I think we were at regional council 2 weeks ago, Chief, for 3 hours or thereabouts, answering questions on the budget and etc. So there was some information that was provided to regional council at their request. Don't see anything else. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Karen Quigley Hobbs, seconded by Sandy. All those in favor? Okay, thanks very much, and everyone have a great